Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's session on crypto settlements through CBDC and the impact of those settlements on the economy. Скажу пару слов на русском языке. Don't be too nervous, it's in Russian, just a short introduction. Сегодня рада вас приветствовать на нашей сессии, посвященной платежам, крипторасчетам и как влияют эти платежи на текущую экономику и на цифровые валюты различных центральных банков. So our organizers kindly allowed us to set aside all the precautions measures connected with fire alarms and everything. So I hope that you were present at morning sessions, so you will be good now. In an era where digital innovation is accelerating at an unprecedented pace, the intersections of cryptocurrencies and traditional finance is more crucial than ever. And as we are now in Kazakhstan, we are well aware of those innovations that are happening here. As we know, since 2022, we experienced different innovations connected with officials, integrations with cryptocurrency exchanges and banks. Also, last year, we saw how National Bank with National Payment System Corporation, launched the first card which can be settled in CBDCs. So actually, it was the first payment card in CBDC. So we have a lot of questions here. And today we'll delve into how CBDCs are not just a theoretical concept, but a practical solution that bridges the gap between digital and traditional financial systems. We are joined by a distinguished panel who are at the forefront of this evolution. So, Miklos Lushpe, Director for Financial Infrastructures and Payments, Central Bank of Hungary, who will provide insights into the infrastructure enhancements and international collaborations driving the adoption of CBDCs. Vishal Sachendran, Head of Regional Markets, Binance, who will share their perspective on how CBDCs are influencing the competitive landscape and user experience in crypto market. Chris Pavlou, Advanced Payment Solution, who is pioneering innovative payment solutions that leverage CBDCs to enhance transaction efficiency and drive customer adoption. Ablahai Al-Bakir, Compliance Officer, Bybit, who will discuss the regulatory and compliance challenges faced with the integration of CBDCs and how they are ensuring robust security and trust. And finally, Izmir Ismailov, Chairman and Founder at CPay. Our discussion today will explore how these digital currencies are not only streamlining the conversion between cryptocurrencies and fiat, but also fostering greater trust and efficiency in the digital finance ecosystem. We'll also touch on the critical role of liquidity in ensuring stable and efficient crypto markets. As we embark our conversation, I encourage you to think about how these developments might impact your own sector and how we can collectively address the challenges and seize the opportunities presented by this new era of digital currencies. Thank you for being here, and let's dive into the discussion. So first, questions will be for Miklos Lushpe. Hungary introduced instant payments in 2020, and with legislative support, the majority of retail credit transfers are completed in this system. As a next step, with the introduction of the quick mobile payment solution this September, the Hungarian Central Bank made instant payments widely available in both physical and online commerce. What goals has the National Bank, Central Bank of Hungary, achieved with instant payments, and when is a retail CBDC essential, in your opinion?
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm Hungarian, and in Hungary we really like the instant systems. because we think that instant system can answer lots of questions which are come up nowadays in different conferences. In conferences which trying to answer that why CBDC is necessary. So we implemented 4 years ago our instant system, and we did it at a way that all the banks should join to the system. So in Hungary, if you have a Hungarian bank account, you can and you should do instant payment transaction. So all the transactions below around 5,000 USD is going through the instant system. And we did it because in Hungary you have lots of card companies, the Visa and MasterCard, but the cost of the side of the merchant and the cost of the side of the customer was a bit higher. So we would like to give them a competition, and we would like to compete with these big card companies, and we were successful in that. So the fees on the merchant side decreasing nowadays in Hungary. And as it was told that from the 1st of September, we introduced the QR code system, the deep link system, the NFC. So in Hungary, if you have a bank account, you can use these kind of solutions also if you buy something in the shop. And these fintech solutions belongs to Hungarian banks. So we supervise the banks. We know that these systems are reliable, and in that service field, the banks can compete with the fintech firms. And that's why we think that in the future we can reach our goals that in Hungary we would like to see most of the transactions in electronic. So our target for 2030 to reach the 2/3 of the transactions should be electronized. I know that this number can be very funny in Kazakhstan because I have heard that the electronic transaction share is more than 95%, but in Hungary, we are in Eastern Europe, we have a lot of things to do there, so we hope that with this instant system we can reach this goal quickly.
Well, there are some places in Kazakhstan which have some troubles with the internet still. That's why when we implemented CBDC stuff, we actually used it as an advantage for those regions. So it's good to have a large payments in instant payments in an electronical form, but still to fight another problems. Why might central banks use new technologies for CBDCs, and when might traditional infrastructures be preferable? Yeah, that's for you as well.
Once again, please. I thought that we will go around and not just a presentation on my side.
That's why you're sitting here.
Okay. So what was the next question?
Yeah. Why might central banks use new technologies for CBDCs? And when might traditional infrastructures be preferable?
Okay. As I told you that we believe in instant infrastructure, so we do not really believe that new technologies are necessary in that sense, because if you have a wide reachability in connection with the instant system, you can answer most of the questions which can come up in connection with the CBDC things. So CBDC has lots of promises, for example, lower the costs, reachability, financial inclusion, reliability, and backup solutions for alternative payment systems. But we think that, for example, instant system, if you put it in the law that all the banks should use it and all the customers can reach this kind of solutions, can be also a good solution and answer to the questions in connection with the CBDC. But of course, we see the new technology, distributed ledger, blockchain, but we are a bit skeptic about that because we do not really see the use case where they can, the national banks or the firms can use it. Only tiny firms or tiny solutions came up in the recent years, and that's why we are not sure that we have to implement this kind of technologies. But artificial intelligence and machine learning is something different. We think that they are also new technologies, but they can used in, for example, in fraud monitoring very nicely. So that's why in 2025, the Hungarian National Bank will introduce a central fraud monitoring system which will use artificial intelligence and machine learning. So all the Hungarian retail transaction will go into this central fraud monitoring system, and it will give back a scoring value to the Hungarian banks, and based on that they can decide if this transaction was a suspicious fraudulent transaction or not. So we use these kind of new technologies in that field.
Cool, cool. Number 3 is for you also.
Okay.
Which elements of the currency of the currently operating traditional infrastructures, such as instant payment systems, can be used to implement a retail CBDC?
I already answered to this question.
But
I think most of the elements can be used. I think because a CBDC is just the direct liability towards the central bank account. So if you have your infrastructure and you have the law to call it CBDC, it is very easily can be implemented. But if you would like to be fancy and if you would like to introduce new technologies, you can keep, I think, the messaging system. Of course, you have to change the liquidity handling system, because you have to separate the commercial bank account and the central bank account. But we do not think that it is really necessary to do that. And of course, we are in the discussion with the European Central Bank, who would like to introduce the digital euro, and they are not really know, as far as I know, that what kind of technology they would like to use. They would like to use the current infrastructure if they can use it. Because in the long run, maybe a new technology will be cheaper, but in the short run, if the banks have and the customer access to the so-called old-fashioned infrastructure, maybe it can be a better solution to build the CBDC on the current infrastructure.
Yeah, cool. I can remember you talked about AI and machine learning, but still, how might new technologies cooperate with and transform traditional infrastructure aside of what you're talking about?
I think that the AI and machine learning can be very, very useful for banks, and especially in case of eliminate the fraud situations, because the trust is very important in case of electronic payments. That's why we try to build systems which are very, very reliable, and the customers should feel that they cannot be cheated, and everybody can have a situation when we can be cheated, but the systems can help us, can be cleverer than us, and they can show that if this transaction is good or bad, they are fraudulent transaction or not, and that's why the room for machine learning and artificial intelligence is very important, we think. And we build all the systems, and we encourage the banks to create their fraud monitoring system real time and based on machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Miklos. So now we're switching to Binance. Vishal. Push the button. Okay. How do you foresee the integration of CBDCs impacting the liquidity and efficiency of cryptocurrency exchanges? And what specific benefits and challenges do you anticipate in this integration?
CBDCs, who doesn't love them? To be very honest, if you look at it from the bank side, there is a probability of disintermediation between what CBDCs provide and what they can control, right, in terms of liquidity. If you look at it from a perspective of the cryptocurrency exchanges, would they be interested in the CBDCs? I don't know. Personally, I don't think too many of them would. I think they would still believe in regulations around stable coins to do a lot more. But when it comes to CBDCs, Miklos mentioned about two very important things. One is the technology that revolves around it and what layers you would build the CBDC on. And the second thing he spoke about was how the liquidity is going to be essential. Now, is there a possibility that the liquidity might flow out quite easily? Probably. Will it be easier for banks to keep control over that? I don't know. It depends to see how the central banks look at it. It's going to see how the players who use the CBDC look at it. Will it have benefits to the cryptocurrency industry? Well, it is crypto at the end of the day. It's going to be using the same cryptography that what tokenized platforms are using. The benefits I see is, if you look at, from the liquidity standpoint again, if you look at what the current trend in the market is, it's trendy. The AI, the blockchain, it's trendy. And right now, real world assets, and that's actual use cases that you see in the industry. And would this CBDC bring more traditional players through liquidity into real world assets? Yes, that's a strong possibility. And I think that would really help drive the adoption of tokenized payments, to be honest.
Okay, I see. How do you see the role of CBDCs influencing the competitive landscape among cryptocurrency exchanges? Are there specific strategies you're adopting to stay ahead in this evolving market, as Binance always do?
No. From this perspective, yes, we keep a close watch. But are we actively getting involved? No. But in a previous life, and I have some friends over here from a previous life, when I was a regulator, especially in the payment space, if you would have told me about CBDCs back then, when I was a regulator, and these fintechs had the opportunity, especially the non-banking financial services, the fintechs in payments and stuff, if they had the opportunity to use CBDCs and instant settlements, wow, we'll be having a completely different conversation right now. And we are talking about 9 years ago, when fintechs were coming into the foray, and they were kind of being the intermediary, removing the banks from the ecosystem, especially when you talk about financial inclusion and all that kind of stuff, especially in countries where financial inclusion wasn't prominent. And you had all these money apps, you had the telcos coming up with fintechs. At that time, if you had CBDCs for instant settlement, different ballgame. But now, with all, like you mentioned again, with banks kind of keeping charge over the fintechs, and they're using, again, they kind of changed the digital currency from a traditional fiat standpoint. Again, I don't think the adoption would be a much higher rate at that time as it would be right now. Are we keeping a close watch to see how governments look at it? Would there be new regulations around, especially in the transmission of money, when you look at different countries that have remittances, for example, and these fintechs that actually use these instant settlements and through CBDCs, it'll be lower cost. Yes, I think it'll be a huge difference. And from a cryptocurrency exchanges perspective, the ones that work with these fintechs and them being able to settle instantly through a more government-regulated CBDC, of course, it'll be a lot more beneficial, and we continue to keep a close watch on that front.
Yeah, cool. Do you plan to do some products connected with CBDC?
I do not know how to answer that question right now.
Sorry.
My product team will be like, Vishal, you don't say anything. Oh.
Okay. How do you anticipate the role of traditional financial institutions evolving as CBDCs gain traction? What impact do you think this will have on the overall cryptocurrency market?
If, again, going back a couple of years, if there are different jurisdictions who have different ideas on how to react. I wouldn't say regulate. I would say how to react towards cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
One is regulation, one is prohibition, and the last one is inaction. So regulation, a prime example is where we are today. With NAIFC, with the AFSA, they've decided on regulating it. They've decided opening the sandbox to it. They've decided on looking at how the players react in the market, looking at the risks and creating rules around that risk, right, to mitigate that risk. And those are the kind of people that we enjoy working with from any part of the industry. You want to sit across the table with the people who are in charge of the frameworks and say, that might be too onerous. What's the risk you're looking at? I can tell you a way that we can mitigate that risk without having that kind of rule imposed. And you want to have that conversation, right, with the regulators. So you have the regulation side. Then you have the regulators or jurisdictions who, we don't want to touch it. We don't understand it. We don't want to do anything with it. We are scared of a few things. Capital flight, for example, there are a few things that worry them. So we're going to prohibit it. No one can do crypto in this space, and then you have people, which again could be quite harmful. People will find a way to access websites. We all know people find ways to access any website. So they would find a way to get to a cryptocurrency player somehow. Right?
Yeah.
So it could do more harm than good. I mean, those kind of people, when you don't regulate them and they lose money, then what do you do? And then you have, so that's a total prohibition. And then there's the inaction side of the jurisdictions that say, we'll let you all run, we'll let you all play, but when something goes wrong, they're going to come after you. Again, that doesn't give the market any kind of legitimacy, to be honest. And how has that changed across the world is from the time regulators have started coming up with these frameworks, you've seen a lot more institutional focus coming into cryptocurrency, ETFs. And who would have thought? The people that were talking nasty things about crypto are now the ones who are encouraging their customers to buy ETFs. It's a different ballgame now. So with institutional money, with the regulations, you've given the cryptocurrency industry a lot more legitimacy than it previously had. And I think that would make it a lot more investor-friendly. People are feeling more protected. The regulators are much more happier with the way things are moving. Of course, we're still at a very, very early stage. It's a very nascent industry. So let's see how it plays out over the course of the next decade.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And, if someone has some questions, just...
I knew it.
Not now, but later. I think.
Catch me outside. Anyway.
Okay, now we're switching to Chris. How do you envision the future landscape where traditional fiat currencies and digital assets coexist? What innovative approaches do you think will shape the integration of these two payment methods?
Right. Well, I think that firstly we're in a privileged place that we're going to see some of the most adventurous and exciting developments in the banking and finance environment for the past 50, 100 years. It's extremely exciting, and I think we're all lucky and privileged to be where we are, working in this environment, being part of these huge developments. I can see a future where digital assets and fiat traditional monies will work in parallel, they will work in tandem, they will complement each other, they will not be competing tools. They will run in parallel, and I think that with the regulatory framework that's being developed around the world, unfortunately not in parallel, but each one at its own pace, it will allow for a much smoother, cost-efficient, simplified, real-time movement of monies. That will greatly benefit the global economy, because right now it's a little bit stringent, it's a bit tight, it mainly works for the established players, it doesn't allow for new institutions or smaller enterprises to participate fully, because moving in money internationally is rather complicated. So I can see the blending of the two financial instruments really assisting the global economy to become a fairer, more transparent, and easier place to do business, from small to big. I think that it will be maybe a trust-based system where up to certain levels it would be either fiat or digital assets. It could be time-based, so over the weekends you would have to work on the real-time crypto environment. There are different theories of how they would blend together, but I think that together they will make for a bigger and better financial system for all of the participants.
Okay. And what are the advantages of blending traditional fiat currencies with cryptocurrencies for international transactions? And how this hybrid approach enhance global trade and business operations,
Right.
in your opinion?
This is something that's, there are two responses, the practical and the theoretical, humanitarian, if you like. I think on a human level, this development of crypto and digital assets will allow for the unbanked populations of the world or the underbanked populations of the world to connect to the global markets and hopefully push hundreds of millions of people out of adverse poverty, which it has the potential of doing. Because right now the unbanked cannot participate. They are in their micro ecosystems and they don't have access to the global markets. Whereas by blending in the crypto assets where you do not need to open a full-on bank account, which is impossible for many people around the world, just with an internet connection, they could have access to markets, to and participate in the global market easier, allow them to gain knowledge, to do international commerce where otherwise it would be impossible for them. It takes out all of the complexities of the different currencies, the exchanges, the difficulties of weak currencies versus the major currencies. It could remove the multiple steps of transacting internationally. To do a transaction from point A to point B, you might go through 3 banks, 2 correspondent banks, 5 regulators, the European Union, the ECB, and it's overly complicated. It's too stringent. So by utilizing the blockchain, not only as a mechanism of moving money, but also the technology to have an access-based verification tool. So if I am approved from the AFCA, which is exactly the same as the FCA, which is acknowledged by the European Union, which is accepted by the US Federal Reserve, Central Bank, potentially I wouldn't need to have an application, underwriting, due diligence process at all of these points. It could be access-based. If they recognize my status in the system, it could be click, 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 and I wouldn't have to do the whole application process or underwriting with every participant, which right now is very complicated.
Yeah. We hope this future comes. Yeah. As we look ahead, what are the major challenges in the payment industry that need to be addressed? And what strategies or solutions could potentially overcome these challenges and drive the future of payments forward?
Right. The biggest hurdles, as I just mentioned, is the multiple checkpoints. Any participant in the food chain of moving from point A to point B can stop, can review, can revoke, can hold, can freeze, can investigate, and at some point it becomes impossible even to do simple things like, I live in Cyprus and we have a lot of international purchases of properties. People want to buy a summer home there. Getting the money from anywhere to Cyprus to purchase that property in many cases is impossible. So this is part of the hurdles. Simple example for the bigger scheme of things. These are the hurdles that are hurting international commerce and maybe holding back the global economy to maximize its potential. The solution, potentially, or part of the solution, is mainly through the relationships we have with the regulators. Something that Vishal mentioned earlier, this feedback loop. They told me to do something, I suggest something, they accept, we work on it, we streamline it, we fine-tune it. And through these baby steps, we ultimately get somewhere where it's an acceptable, legitimate, transparent, clean business environment without all of the complexity. It doesn't have to be this complicated. It can be a one-time verification with access approval from all of the participants, and that will really help us. And at this stage, I just want to thank the regulator here, our relationship with them. They are very business friendly. Their doors are always open. We are very happy to have this relationship in place. And we're sure that through the ongoing discussions and as the years go by and the relationships mature, things will get better and for all of us. And last point, I think it's very important for all of us, and the regulator in particular, to stay at the forefront of the developments, because each regulator around the world will progress at different rates. The worst thing that can happen to us and the regulator is to fall behind. We should be at least matching, if not trying to be the pioneers ahead of the game, so that we are always current, we're always fresh, we're always interesting, and not to lag behind the rest of the world, which would be bad for everybody. So the feedback loop, I think, is the most important. We stay in touch with the regulator. They keep their doors open, they keep their ears open, which they are, and step by step we get to a better place.
Yeah, cool. So it was Chris Pavlou from Advanced Payment Solutions, and this panel is very interesting in terms of different points of view, as we have central bank, then cryptocurrency exchange, then payment solution, and now we're switching to the cryptocurrency again, and this time it's Bybit, Ablay Khan. And in your opinion, will CBDCs be popular asset among crypto users? How can the industry stakeholders and crypto exchanges facilitate the widespread use of CBDCs by crypto users? That's the question for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me on this panel session. Yeah, essentially, CBDCs have a wide range of applications across different sectors, and it can be used for online payments, retail payments to merchants, cross-border transactions, and remittances. But I also believe that CBDCs have many features that makes it attractive for crypto users. But essentially, relevant stakeholders around CBDCs, including central banks, second-tier banks, and the crypto exchange itself should provide necessary infrastructure for widespread use of CBDCs by customers, including crypto users. Well, from a crypto exchange perspective, as recent observations show, CBDCs can be listed on crypto exchange platforms or similar platforms, which enable clients to convert its crypto to CBDCs for further off-ramp. And CBDCs can be also used for payments to merchants, let's say through the use of crypto exchange cards, which enable clients to spend in CBDCs, resulting from the sale of users' crypto. Well, it sounds complicated, but in reality it is not. And I believe similar products will be developed in our jurisdictions as well in the near future.
Okay, is this a first step to implement CBDC or kind of innovation and opportunity? What do you think?
Yeah, I believe so. But again, we need a ready product approved by the stakeholders and regulators. But we are working on this, and I believe that, as I said, all stakeholders should cooperate and share expertise to develop and provide a better product to customers.
Yeah. How do you manage and mitigate the risks associated with the digital asset transactions and CBDCs? And what strategies do you use to safeguard against potential compliance breaches?
Essentially, when we deal with CBDCs and digital assets transactions or custody, we should consider and mitigate first technological risks, including crypto asset technology risks like stability of the network, distributed ledger technology, its design, essentially we should also focus on cyber risks and operational risks, and we should have necessary internal procedures for those targeting crypto exchange platforms or relevant platforms, including cryptographic key theft and compromise of login credentials and the cyber attacks to prevent and avoid any unauthorized transfers and data breaches. From my ML perspective, crypto exchanges and second-tier banks engaged in relevant activities should have QIT systems to detect crypto-related fraud and financial crimes in order to comply and meet AML and compliance regulations and requirements. Generally, when we deal with CBDCs and digital assets, I think we should focus on managing information and technology risks through appropriate internal systems and risk control procedures to ensure reliability and safety of digital asset services.
Yeah, I guess it's the requirement of the authorities to have not only KYC but also KYT implemented in the system. I mean, in Kazakhstan, as far as I know.
Yeah, exactly. Apart or aside from AML regulations, we should also consider and mitigate technological and operational risks, considering the technology solution used for digital assets and CBDCs.
Okay. And how do you anticipate CBDCs will impact the compliance landscape for cryptocurrency exchanges? And are there any specific areas where you foresee significant changes or challenges?
Well, I would say that considering that we have quite developed regulatory frameworks across jurisdictions governing the AML and compliance matters in relation to the crypto activities, and since there is quite similar solution used for the issuance of both CBDCs and digital assets, I don't expect much impact on compliance landscape for crypto exchanges. But at the same time, I think that in the near future we will have more detailed regulatory frameworks targeting legal risks in the context of accounting, control ownership, and maybe disclosure requirements in relation to digital assets and CBDCs.
Okay, thank you very much. So it was Ablahan Albakir from Bybit. Now, finally, we are coming to Izmir, and this is again payment solutions. So Izmir, what CFO's Pay? What are the imagined trends in fintech that are shaping the future of payments, particularly in fiat currencies? How is CFO's Pay positioning itself to lead these areas?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here today. And big thanks to organizers of this awesome event. You guys did great job here. First of all, my comment to what Ablahan said right now. Amen. Professor Nouriel Robini, I remember, was saying that crypto was his biggest scam of the century, but he ended up launching his own coin. So you never know where you end up. So when it comes to CFO's Pay, we have been building payment orchestration platform for the last 3 years. We started 4 years ago. We now licensed in 5 countries as payment service providers. We have our own proprietary software, and we have a couple of very cool partnerships, which I will talk about today. What is payment orchestration platform? It's a kind of new word these days, a trendy word. It's let's think about it like we are DJs behind the keyboard, and we decide, depending on the mood of the crowd, we decide which song should go next. Unified management of multiple gates, omni-channel payment platform. This is what payment orchestration platform is about. We have different options to make the transfers and keep our clients happy. Yes, of course, there is SWIFT, there is SEPA, there is faster payments in UK, but we also have alternative payment methods. Like we provide card to account, we provide account to account, we provide account to card, account to wallet. Like we may make the transfer to the wallet of somebody in Central African Republic, the country which is prohibited for transfers almost everywhere. Not a single bank wants to do that, but we do that because we found the most secure and most protective way to do that. There are challenges, of course, in that, and because very often banks are not interested that you are doing something great. They just want you to be compliant with all the requirements. And they and this is the biggest challenge, I think, that for us as a group of international companies, it's a challenge to face the fragmented regulation all the time. Each country has its own regulations, it's different rules. Different countries are prohibited for transactions in different countries. Like what's prohibited in Kazakhstan is allowed in Latvia and vice versa. You know, I remember the case when Hong Kong bank didn't accept the transfer from Swiss bank, saying that Swiss is a very dangerous area for accepting money from. And I remember last month when I was in Dubai, I heard there that, oh, money transfer from Hong Kong. No. And that is Dubai. You know, the place where people do things, some magical things, you know. I think guys who are here, they know what I'm talking about. So it's quite complicated. So another trendy word in fintech these days is embedded finance. That is something really interesting. You know, very soon, every flower online shop will become a small bank. They want you to provide them with white label solution where they can only need to put their logo on, they will use your license, they will use your soft, they will use everything, and they will be a small bank for their consumers. Yes, we are losing profit there, we share profit with them, but this is the reality. It will happen, it's everywhere. Another interesting trend is open banking. There are many of them, of course, but open banking is something which I want to pay attention to. It's already quite popular in Europe. For example, we use it to top up the accounts of our customers. Yeah, they can go through our application, through our account, and top up the accounts from any bank where we have our accounts. So this is also, you probably, who is interested in this, probably saw interesting materials coming from Saudi Arabia, which is not the hot, top-notch fintech area, but they are really working with this and very careful, very interested in introducing this. And I think at least in Middle East, it will be the first country which will implement it. And that will be something revolutionary for that region. So basically, these are trends which are cast on.
I guess magic has come to an end
Absolutely.
in Dubai because for the last 6 months I cannot open a usual bank account there.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Not surprising.
As a licensed, okay, thank you. As a licensed entity dealing exclusively in fiat at AFC, how do you see the role of fiat currency evolving in the face of increasing digital transformation and the rise of new financial technologies?
Yes, you are right. We are one of the very few payment service providers in AFC who are dealing only with fiat. It's not that we have something against crypto, but we decided to start with that here. You know, yes, crypto, everybody's talking crypto. Yeah, crypto here, crypto there, it's clear. Yeah, it will be there forever. But, you know, fiat ain't going anywhere. It's a backbone of payment system, and it will stay for a long time, even when CBDCs will be all around and when it becomes a part of our life, fiat will still be there. That's reality. I think everybody agrees with that. But the reasons are very simple. Stability, trust of consumers, and important thing which is temporary, but it's there, liquidity. You know, with stability it's clear, with trust of consumers it's clear, but with liquidity it's very obvious, because I think my colleagues will agree with that, but these days there is not enough liquidity in crypto, comparing to fiat, which is everywhere. So I think this is where we should think more about how to not try to, you know, replace fiat with crypto, with CBDC, but, you know, let them live together and go hand in hand the same way.
Yeah, agree. In your opinion, what are the key legal and regulatory challenges facing fintech companies today, and how is CPay navigating these complexities to ensure compliance while driving innovation?
As I said before, for us as international group, this fragmentation of regulation is a big challenge. But there are several ways how to solve it. We hire people in the country where we start our operations. Doesn't matter if it's mandatory by regulation or not. We still do that. Second, we try to follow all the trends related to compliance, AML, and we always trying to be in touch with regulators to show that we are ready to cooperate, that we're going to, like there was a nice session yesterday, and somebody said, yeah, nobody likes AML and compliance. Yes, we don't. But the thing is that there are two things what the regulations is about: consumer protection and ensuring the transparency and stability of payment system and finance system in general. And here, I don't think somebody don't want to be in place. This is how the financial system has been surviving since ages, and this is part of our life. So we need to be good friends with regulators. That's the only way out.
Yeah, usually it is. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, we still have some time for a question or two. If you want to ask something, just raise your hand, and we will approach you. No questions? You've got regulator, 2 cryptocurrency exchanges, and 2 payment companies. Okay, everyone is very shy today. I guess the panel session was really...
I'm sorry, may I?
Yeah?
I want to ask Miklos. Miklos, will you open the operations account for my company at your bank?
No pressure. We'll talk outside.
Be careful answering. Yeah? And if no, explain why.
So the question is that, will we open an account for you?
Yes, I will come and get my license in Hungary, I promise. But next morning I will call you asking to open the account.
You can come to the Hungarian National Bank and you can open an account. Yes, you can. But if you are a firm...
And you will proceed third-party payments as well for my client?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a lot of witnesses.
Don't answer. So we believe that it is a way of life. So we enter in the system, not that just the banks, but also the financial service providers. Of course, you have to meet the requirements. If you can jump it, you are more than welcome to in the systems. But afterwards, you can do the same things as a bank do in Hungary. Yes.
How many AMI licenses you released last year? 1 or 0?
0.
Yes. Why? You don't want them to be there, even though you have regular messages from Brussels that it should be done.
So in Hungary, the TPP business does not really work because of the banks. We think that the API do not really work properly, and that's why they cannot provide services. But we force them to open up and providing services. So we like the competition. We would like to see more firms in the market, but it's not yet happened.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we've got a question. Please name yourself in your mic. And do you have a mic?
No, I think I'm okay.
I'm afraid that people won't hear you.
They can't
Sorry?
hear you. They can't hear the ones.
Is that okay if I hold it for you?
Opening the operational account, so I just wanted to clarify something. So just to introduce myself, my name is Asoka. I'm a business development manager at MediaCube. It's a fintech platform for content creators. So my question was also, do you usually open operational account for non-residents of Hungary and maybe like for foreign companies? For example, Canadian company with MSP.
Okay, I have to speak aloud for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is about opening account for fintech company in Hungary, I guess. Yes. And you operate where? Where do you operate?
Our parent company is based in Cyprus, but we operate globally. We pay out our users.
Okay, so you operate globally, but parent company is in Cyprus. Okay.
We have our company in Canada as well, so we are interested in account as a non-resident. But most banks, for example, in Europe, they don't open such accounts, so that's why I wanted to clarify.
So I guess a couple of years ago, the most fancy things were cryptocurrency exchanges. Now it's banks, all banks.
Yeah. So as I told you that, yes, you can come, we can open an account for you if you meet the requirements to be the member of the RTGS system. So, and as far as I know, in Europe, there are only 2 or 3 countries which have the similar policy. So in the Hungarian RTGS, we have 38 members and only 25 is bank. So we have 13 other participants in the system, so we really do it. So they are not just words. We really think that this kind of competition is good. Because what happened in Hungary, that to provide services, you have to open an account at a commercial bank. But if you have to compete with the commercial bank, they would increase your account fees and so on, and the level playing field was not the same. And that's why we decided, but it is a 10-year story now, and we opened, we made it happen to come into the systems and be the same as a bank.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, if we don't have all, we have a question. Rajat from MasterCard.
Pronouncing that already. I wasn't going to say that.
I can't remember your surname still.
I was just going to say, Rajat, work very closely with the ecosystem, and I was going to stop there, but yes, I work at MasterCard. The question I have, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is slightly less controversial. It's about CBDCs. I heard a lot about CBDCs. The question is probably for the entire panel, because I believe all of you had very interesting insights. Central banks traditionally don't deal with end retail users, right? With retail CBDCs now being launched, there's going to be potentially millions of wallets that these users will operate. What would be your suggestions or key takeaways for such central banks that are at some stage of their journey in terms of launching a retail CBDC? Even though, yes, there will be banks that will be involved in the middle, but at the end of the day, this is still commercial. This is not commercial bank money anymore. This is central bank money, and customers are getting direct access to such tokens.
Thank you.
Anybody?
Who wants to take the question?
I can take it.
Please.
Imagine that from Binance. Anyway, the first thing central banks will need to do is getting the right people. He mentioned it a couple of times. A lot of buzzwords. There are a lot of buzzwords. A lot of jurisdictions want to get into the hype. The CBDCs, blockchain, it was fintech at one time, and now it's AI. But when you want to execute on a plan or a vision, especially like CBDCs, especially retail CBDCs, it's going to be hitting not just your wholesale players, right? It's not just your institutional players. It's going to be hitting a wide range of retail players. And the thing that you mentioned, wallets, infrastructure of the wallets, how does security work? How do you ensure consumer protection? My colleague mentioned over here, the panelists mentioned about consumer protection. So all of this involve a lot of technology governance that has to be in place. And you cannot have, for the lack of a better word, the traditional mindset when you are going to go on this journey. You need to have someone who understands technology. There used to be a time when an IT person in a bank was just going around fixing people's printers and laptops. You can't have that. When you call the IT person, he's the guy who's going to explain how a blockchain works, how a hash key works. And you need those kind of people sitting next to you. Those people should be involved in you creating those frameworks, because they will tell you the risks. They will tell you how to mitigate those risks. And you're good at what you do, no doubt. You understand the fiat ecosystem, how it works. But when it comes to a lot more technology stuff, I think you should get help. Call consultants, right?
If I can add on what was just said, I think central banks are like a government machine which is not very fluid and fast maneuvering. So I would think that they would need to create like a subset organization, a digital asset department / bank, but which is outside of the central bank, because that's a slow-moving machine, and this is a very fast-moving machine. Hire the best of the best, since you're the central bank, and do it the right way. Trying to monitor it from within a central bank, something this complicated, I think they would struggle to do it. So I reckon they would need a second organization within the same, not to be private, to be within the same organization, but separate. I would even suggest not even in the same building. Have smart people, young people, the right people in place to monitor this correctly. Otherwise, I think it might not be able to keep up the two institutions, the fast-moving digital space and the traditional central banks. I think there would be a conflict there.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We got a question. I guess it's gonna be the last one. Please introduce yourself and name the...
My name is Gimran. I am independent fintech expert. I used to work here in AFC more than 5 years, then joined several crypto projects established in AFC as well. So I have a question to crypto-related companies here. I know some of the companies has the crypto-related licenses. Yeah. So I'm interested. I know that AFC jurisdiction right now enables the crypto transactions and fiat gateways. So when the average customer can come to AFC and bring his fiat currency, tenge or dollars, and put in terminal or ATM, something like that, and get his USDT on the balance. So just, do you have any plans to invest in such kind of technologies, and when it's going to be possible? Thank you.
We had crypto ATMs 6 years ago. They were shut down for good reason, because of the lack of KYC, AML, all those kind of transactions. So crypto ATMs was a thing of the past. I don't think you would see them anymore, at least not from my perspective. Definitely, I can speak on behalf of any other regulator here. I don't think they'll be very happy about it. But it used to be there. It used to be in the ADGM as well. I saw one, and it didn't last too long. One, because it doesn't work as well. But I think you have much better. The question you should be asking is, when will banks allow you to take on more and transfer money from your account to any of the cryptocurrency exchanges account, and you get USDC in your wallet? I think that'll be a much more easier transaction. I think we should be moving away from cash-based transactions.
Okay, thank you very much. We've got a red countdown, which means that we are currently run out of time. Thank you, my dear panelists, and thank you, the audience, for coming.